Black Panther Wakanda Forever is directed by Ryan Coogler and stars Lydia Wright, Angela Bassett, and Dania Guerrera. After losing their king and their protector, the people of Wakanda must now face enemies on all sides as they near global and unending war with a new threat. I actually really like the first Black Panther movie. How much do I like it? Well, not only do I own it, but it's one of the few steel books that I own. I like it that much. Sure, it has its flaws and all, but overall, I think the great things about the movie way overshadow the bad things about it. So not only was I shocked when the movie was actually nominated for Best Picture of all things, but just like everyone else, I was shocked and saddened by the loss of Chadwick Boseman. He was such an incredible actor, such an incredible talent, and overall such an incredible person, and we lost him so soon. And just like every single Marvel fan, not only did I grieve for him in my own way, but it made me really think, like, how are they going to do a Black Panther 2? But literally, with every single bit of news that we got leading up to the premiere, and every single trailer that was released for this movie, I got more and more excited. This was one of the few Marvel movies nowadays where I was honestly hyped from the first trailer. And thank God it lived up to every single expectation that I had for it. I loved Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Like I said earlier, seeing as how the first movie was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars of all things, a lot of pressure must have been felt by the Academy, by the industry, to make this movie as good as it possibly could have become. And from an acting perspective, especially, this movie nails it. Every single actor in this entire movie is bringing their A game, not only to all of the dramatic scenes, but even to a lot of the comedic scenes. Not only did the comedy in this movie land almost every time for me because of the actors' incredible chemistry with each other, but the dramatic scenes in this movie, oh my God. These are some of the best scenes in pretty much any single Marvel movie that focuses on the drama. Because not only do you have the subtext of Chadwick Boseman's death, but also the fact that the writing and acting, good God, this is one of the first Marvel movies that I can remember that I can fully see winning one of the big Oscars, or even just being nominated for one of the big Oscars. Shuri is interesting. The Queen is interesting. The Dora Milaje, good God, every single time they're on screen, I love it. And that brings us to the character of Namor. Now, personally, even though I know some bits about him from the comics, I went into this movie relatively blind as to who he was overall. And he ended up being one of my favorite characters, not only the entire movie, but probably one of my favorite antagonists in any MCU film. Not only is a lot of the complexity of the character due to Teenage Huerta, I'm so sorry if I got your name wrong, his incredible acting, but also the writing that paints Namor not necessarily as a villain, just as a person who just so happens to be against Wakanda. The more that I've thought about it, the more that I've slowly come to realize that my favorite villains in movies and TV shows are usually the characters that, if the story was focused on them, they could easily be seen as the hero, and the usual main character would easily be seen as the villain. In this movie, I could pretty much see that happening easily for Namor. He's an interesting character, he's a smart character, and more importantly, he's a character whose motivations you completely understand. Now let's talk about the effects, because not only have the effects in this phase of the MCU been famously hit and miss, but the effects in the first Black Panther movie are one of my few big flaws with that film. And thankfully, the effects in this movie are so much better. They don't always look the most realistic per se, but they always look very, very cool. And let's just round out the good stuff by just letting it all out there and saying that, yes, I cried twice in this movie. One at the very beginning for obvious reasons, and the other one at the very end for obvious reasons. This is definitely one of the most dramatic Marvel movies I've ever seen, and I am so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for how seriously they took everything and it just made us, the audience, take it that much more seriously. Are there problems? Yeah, absolutely. And apart from a couple nitpicks that I have with the overall script of the film, I really only have two major flaws, but they are big ones. And those two flaws are Agent Ross and Riri Williams. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Martin Freeman so much, but in my opinion, he's been relatively wasted in the MCU. Pretty much every single one of his appearances in this franchise, you could pretty much just cut out of the finished project and you would miss pretty much nothing. And it's the same problem in this movie. No matter how much, don't get me wrong, I love to see Martin Freeman, he does nothing in this movie. And the same thing can be said for the new character of Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. She's supposed to be like a very integral part of the story as a whole, or at least that's how it's acted like. But when you really think about it, she really does nothing. She's not really written with any personality or character arc for us to get attached to, and the only plot point that she serves integral to the movie, you could pretty much cut her out and put in any single random generic scientist that you could think up. She's pretty much useless in the movie, and it feels like the only reason she's there is just so that the movie can advertise Ironheart action figures. But apart from those issues and the multiple different nitpicks that I have with the script as a whole, I'm not gonna lie, I loved Wakanda Forever. The acting is some of the best in the entire MCU. Almost every single character is interesting and complex. The effects and action are really good, and the drama is handled so well. There are a couple nitpicks that I have with the script, and the characters of Agent Ross and Riri Williams feel wasted in the movie, but those are my only few complaints overall. Out of all of the very hit and miss projects in this phase of the MCU, there is no doubt that this was the project that they needed to get right. And in my opinion, they not only nailed it, they hit it out of the ballpark. I'm going to give Black Panther Wakanda Forever an A. Well guys, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below, now that Phase 4 of the MCU is finally done and over with, what is the project of Phase 5 that you are looking forward to the most? For me, there is no doubt in my mind, Daredevil Born Again, 18 episodes. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best, and don't forget to click subscribe and click the bell icon down below to stay up to date on all things movie, all things TV, all things nerd.